All right, if you've been following me, you've seen that I'm trying to ease back into my printmaking after a long break away. This one, I am experimenting first with no extender, no oils added to my inks, just working in differing layers of intensity by rolling out my brayer or my inks more before putting it onto the block. And then I'm just going back in with a little cotton rag and wiping away marks. I wanted to play with layering in this one, working in transparency. It's not something I've done a lot where I'm building up layers. Now this is just a single color. I did put a little bit different color on the background first, but then working with the same green throughout. So it's not going to show me like how layers would mix. I'll do more experimenting with that layer later, but it is a way just for me to kind of look at how building up more opaque layers as I go. So using more ink to make it more opaque, and also putting just layers one on top of another. I'm working wet on wet here, obviously. You'd want to let them dry potentially, but I really like how it came out. Here's the photo that this first one was kind of loosely based off of. The second one, I added extender. Well, I should say I started with extender and added varying amounts of ink. If you follow me on social, you see I was playing with that recently. Again, extender is not something I've worked a lot with, and I know there's a lot of things in my use of it here that aren't best practice. Like there's a lot of dust around and on my roller because we're traveling right now through the desert, and I'm not letting it dry in between. But again, I'm just playing and experimenting. And this one, instead of using less ink as I roll it up or rolling off my brayer a little bit to make the lighter layers, I'm just using a higher percentage. Well, I'm using extender with a lower percentage of inks mixed in. So like my first few layers, I have maybe a ratio of only 1 to an eighth, one extender eighth of ink, and then I build up from there to 1 1/4, 1 1/2, and then 1 to 1 for the final layer, and that's how I'm building up the darker, more opaque inks as I go, and also still playing with this layering effect, and then playing with wiping away with a cotton rag. I'm not so much concerned about the effect or the final image. Mostly I just was trying to play with different mediums in my inks, but I do really like how it's turned out. Mono printing is something, well, monotypes in this case is something I want to get more into doing, but I haven't had the chance yet. I really find it interesting that I can make anything once out of it, and it won't be repeatable, but it could be repeatable in terms of the experimentation, but the results will never be the same. So this one I did a lot of different layers. It was more difficult to wipe the ink off the block because of the extender, making it a little bit stickier. I know a lot of printing would be done on glass, which I have tried monotypes on that, but I find it very difficult to press my thicker paper on that. So here's the final result of this one, and here is the picture that I loosely based it off of. And for my final one, instead of extender, I used oil. Oil is something I regularly put in with my inks. It's something that I find helps me get better ink transfer with the thicker arches paper that I use because I press by hand. But I wanted to, again, play with varying amounts. So I've started with, like, again, in this case, doing like 1-to-1 of ink and oil at one point to 1/8, 1/4, 1/4, just to see how it moves around, whether it affects the opacity and how, like, wipeability of it on my block. Again, I use these rubber blocks. In some ways you could say it's not the best for doing monotypes where you wipe away. Glass would be better, but getting back to what I was saying earlier, it's very difficult for me to get a good hand press on top of glass with the thick paper I use. In the future, I want to do some experiments with lighter weight paper and glass again. But I actually also like the textural image that I get from the blocks I use. It's a product made by Inovart that I get through Blick's Art Supply. And this one, I did just a number of little layers, and the image is based on this river scene. And here's all three of them. Sorry, cut off a little bit there in the beginning. The greens are pretty much the same, but slightly different as I mixed them up. And there we go.